Everybody, I'd like to introduce you to Brian. His favorite quote is, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." He's a single 38-year-old male living here in San Francisco. He works as a software developer, works in the financial district. When asked about his health and fitness goals, he says he's always played sports throughout his whole life. His main challenge now is time and growing responsibilities. Fairly injury prone, not very young. He wants to stay healthy as he ages. Fortunately, there is a sportive activity that Brian can participate in that would engage his intellect, meet his health and fitness goals, as well as is suited well for his age. So its co-founder for this particular activity practiced it into his 90s. What is this miracle workout? The art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That co-founder is pictured there in the middle, Helio Gracie, and right behind him, wouldn't you know it, future San Francisco gym owner Romulo Melo. Fast forward to the present, and this is the value proposition that I'm suggesting for the Academy. For San Francisco's busy professionals looking to get and stay fit, Romulo Melo Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the full body workout to give you a mental edge in work and in life. It's situated closely to Brian's work, which is awesome, and there are classes every day of the week, some as early as 7 a.m., some as late as 7 p.m., which works out well for his schedule. Sounds like a great fit. But how do we get this ideal exercise routine on Brian's radar? The answer, of course, is digital marketing. And before we get into the tactics, I first want to get into the business model and objective. So average order value is $175. Cost of goods sold, I've estimated at $100. I got that by taking the space rental, dividing it by the number of students, and then projecting what utilities and other costs might be. So that brings us to 100. The gross margin there is 75. We also know that the lifetime value is 2.5 years. If someone signs up for a membership, and if they stay longer than 2.5 years, it could be up to 10 years. So we're looking at $5,250 minus the cost of goods sold. That's still pretty good at $2,250. What else do we want to know? Conversion rate. 1 out of 5 people who tries out a class ends up signing up for a membership. So 20% conversion, which is pretty good. Romulo told me he'd like to acquire 1 new student per week if possible. So that's pretty easy to reverse engineer. That means offering 20 free trial classes every month for which we get signups, and ideally we would ramp up to that within 6 months. So the primary KPI is number of free trial class signups. Additional metrics that we might want to look at include leads, walk-ins, click-through rates, conversion rates, reviews. And now, how do we get Brian signed up for a free trial? Meaning without any changes. What is happening at present? We're going to look at the user experience here, and Brian would basically go to the home page. He would click on schedule. He would be forced to log in or sign up for MindBody, and then even after he does that, there's a suggestion here for a 12-month contract agreement, which is not attractive because he just wants to try a class, not commit a whole year. Otherwise, he could go to the very bottom of the home page where there's an analog call to action that says give us a call or stop by to try a free intro class. Again, not efficient nor trackable. So the big suggestion here, I have plenty of them on the left side of the screen, but the one I really want to point your attention to is this call to action button, take a free class. Of course, we would test that, the hypothesis being that you're going to get a lot more signups for the free trial classes with the button than without the button. How do we get Brian to the website? Paid social might be one way to do it, since we know he's a tech-savvy individual with an account. So here we have a sample ad with the value proposition repeating as our copy, and again, driving people to start their jiu-jitsu journey with that free trial class. We could test images as well as copy, as you all know, but basically we're looking for higher click-through rate in any case. Paid social continued would include Instagram, because the jiu-jitsu community does have a very strong presence on Instagram, and we also know that the ideal client is a working professional here in San Francisco, so LinkedIn might be another way to test that out. What else can we do to drive traffic? SEO and SEM, which you know work well together. Here, I'm going to suggest one of the big things I want to point out here of the many suggestions is potentially changing the URL to San Francisco BJJ, because that's going to be exactly what people will be typing in to find an academy here in San Francisco rather than the business's name itself. So what's currently appearing when you search is on the left, and it basically pulls the first sentence from the website, which is an incomplete sentence at that. And my suggestion is what appears on the right, jiu-jitsu training with Romulo, Melo, and again, a repeat of the value proposition. This is a mock ad, pretty self-explanatory, not much to see there, but again, your first class is free. Let's get people to those free trial classes. Looking quickly at the budget, main thing to really notice here is that the industry benchmarks that we're using come from WordStream, and the outcome projected here would exceed the objective by almost double, meaning 44 free trial class signups with a $1,000 ad spend. We're looking at a 1,980% return on investment. Pretty awesome. What happens next? Of course, we'll continue to test. I think we should build out the emails so that we get an onboarding sequence going, as well as more referral practices, which is represented here by the megaphone. And finally, really need to look at content creation and educational videos. Conclusion, Brian gets a great workout and makes some new friends. Thank you so much.
Oh.